Welcome to section, call it 831.1, episode number 290. I'm Dan Hammond.
And I am Rogue Schindler.
This week we have the results from our annual Phoenix tournament we did last weekend, and we've been putting off talking about the new Star Wars movie for a couple of weeks. So hopefully everyone who's listening has had a chance to see it, because we're probably going to talk about things that you wouldn't want to know if you haven't seen it yet. But honestly, I can't imagine that's anybody. So do you want to start with the tournament then?
Yeah, why don't we do with that since it's fresh? It's brand new year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well, and everyone who, all three of you who are listening right now. We started off 2016 with a triple tournament in San Diego on Saturday. We started at 10 o'clock in the morning and did a second edition Infinite Diversities draft. We had packs that were from the, I guess it was the things that have appeared in on Enterprise. We had Starfleet, Klingon, Romulan, and non-aligned. No, sorry, Ferengi and non-aligned. So Starfleet,
right?
Klingon, Ferengi, and non-aligned. And there were
Romulan.
Four of us. It was a Romulan too?
Yeah, non-aligned is not a headquarters.
Oh, right. Silly me.
There were non-aligneds in there.
Yes, I took apart my deck because I'm entering in the deck builder, and I got a pile for non-aligned here. That's why I'm, of course. So Klingon, Romulan, Ferengi, and Starfleet. That makes sense, because those were all different affiliations that we saw in the show.
Right.
Let's see. We had about an hour or so of drafting and deck building. We had and then 3 rounds of tournament. Matt ran the event for me and you and JD and Johnny.
Correct. So we played it like a regular tournament, but it was basically a round robin.
Exactly. Yeah. In the first round, boy, who did I play in the first round? Who did you play in the first round?
I
played you in the last round, so I must have either played JD.
I think I started against JD. Yeah.
All right, then I must have started against Johnny.
That sounds right.
Okay.
Because, no offense, I was like, okay, well, at least I won't have to play Johnny next, because I lost. And I just, not assuming about you, I was making assumptions about Johnny, because Johnny always wins.
Yes.
Or frequently wins. But it's a draft, and you never know what's going to happen. Like you obliterating everyone.
I had a good draft. So we started out with a mission pack, and I got what I thought were great Klingon missions. So I decided that I was going to play Klingon. I think the first mission I got was penetrate enemy lines. It's a good, strength 34, a couple of skills that I knew we had a couple of, 3 space, and if you have 3 different species involved, you may drop to 7 cards. So I figured we're playing, this is draft. We're going to have a lot of random non-aligns, some holograms, all kinds of stuff. I figured I'd have a few species. So that might work. That was great. The next pack was had like a strength. I think it was like that strength-based medical mission. It's medical, bio, exo, and strength, and it's a Klingon planet. I was like, awesome. There was another bio mission that I found, so I'm thinking I'm doing pretty well. I drafted a bunch of Klingons, and then there were a lot more Starfleet going around than I expected, so I didn't think anybody was drafting Starfleet as a primary, so I started drafting a few good Starfleet people, a couple of Makos, mostly Makos. Daniels was in there. He had some skills that I wanted. And I didn't really get a lot of Klingons. I got 5 Klingons. Wow, I only had 5 Klingons. Klingons was I was primary supposed to draft, and I got 5. I only have all this information because my deck's all laid out in front of me right here. But there are 2 cards that were far and away the best cards in the entire tournament, and that was one that everybody had a copy of, which is In Development, which is just a 1-turn, just 1-drop stop, right?
Oh yeah.
The other was the same thing for me, Chula the Dice. In this format,
oh nice.
Integrity greater than 6, Cunning greater than 6, and Strength greater than 6. Wow, that's tough. I've got a couple of 6 integrity Klingons, but nothing better than that. I've got Brennan Scott, who's 8/8/8, unless you have any cards in his hand. I've got strength. I could do the strength. Ooh, Hajur has 778. He was pretty good.
Wow.
So
You got a Hajur?
yeah, I did. He's pretty good.
God.
He pit right. I got a Hajur and a Belrid, strength of 7. Durg, strength of 7. I was going for strength, and I got a lot of them. So I could have barely passed it with all my best people out and no cards in hand, but it was pretty much a one drop stop for everyone else. And so right, that's right. I did play Johnny in the first tournament because Johnny did something to me which I thought was very smart, and I did to everyone else, you and JD, in the next 2 rounds, which is you go attempt a mission, and then you attempt it again, and by then, assuming you're attempting with 8, 9 people, your opponent will have drawn through their entire dilemma pile, right? We'll say, most part.
Yeah.
18.
Likely.
With a few extra. So they will have seen the in development and any other really good dilemmas, and they'll get played there to stop you, right? So at this point, the rules of the format are when you finish a mission, you get to take all those dual dilemmas back to hand. Well, now that you've played your in development and your jewel of the dice or anything else that's really good, I'm not going back to that mission because those dilemmas are stuck there. I'm going to my other mission that I want to solve, because you only have to solve 2. I'm going to hit that mission until it's all done, and then go back to the first mission, hopefully, with not much in the left to stop me in the dilemmas. That worked really well. I would definitely utilize that strategy again.
Yeah, that was pretty brilliant. Unfortunately, I didn't play you until the last round, and Johnny did not do that against me. So I did not see it until it was way too late for me.
I did play my the clown go away. So maybe he did it on accident, and I just thought it was a great play. And I don't know, whatever it was, it was pretty brilliant. Yeah. I would, like I said, once you lock down those good dilemmas, there's only going to be so many good dilemmas. It makes sense to just go somewhere else. Just sprinkle a few here and there. I think we joked about if I would have tried to do my third mission, you would have had no dilemma pile left.
Yeah, that was really solid. I was, because you attempted one, then you attempted the other, and I was like, "Are you going for the third?" But yeah, I saw all of those really good Starfleet cards go by, and I just, like, every time, I think starting with the first Brennan Scott, I was like, I need to take that. And that's it's such a good card. I don't want to pass it, but I unfortunately, I was like, no, I got to stick to my guns. I don't want to end up with a bunch of stuff. And I wish I had shifted gears, because there were so many good things floating around that I think people ended up getting them piled up just because they were around.
Yeah.
And there were 2 things that came up. So the first pack we drafted was missions before we got to the actual draft packs. And 2 things came up in that I stuck to that I wish I hadn't, which were, like Johnny mentioned, we have to get to 70 points. So, beware the 30-point missions. Don't not take them, but, I was like, oh, that's right, get 35 points. So I just drafted 35-point mission after 35-point mission to make sure I had tons of options. And then we saw, like, one Starfleet mission.
The number, that was one of the things that was, when I looked at my first pack, I looked through for affiliation icons, and that was one thing that we all noticed, that there are not a lot of Starfleet missions.
Yeah.
There were a fair number of any can attempt this, but just looking at it straight on and trying to get a feel for how many options you'd have, there wasn't a lot there. There was a lot of Fed and Klingon, is what I saw.
And there were a few, and they turned out to be pretty powerful. Anyone can attempt this missions, but they weren't what I would call prevalent. They were the exception to the rule. So I kept thinking of that, and I just was like, I guess you could count on your second affiliation, because literally everybody played 2 headquarters, and go where they can attempt and hope that you don't run out of that affiliation. But that just really made me shy away from Starfleet, and it ended up being a mistake. And then after having tons of 35-point missions, I, like, about halfway through, I pulled an Enterprise A, the non-aligned Enterprise A, that scores 5 points if it's staffed at your mission.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the Romulan I started drafting Romulan really early because I got a Koval in my first pack, I think. And I was like, oh, this guy's awesome. Thinking in my brain that like, oh yeah, when people are using multiple headquarters, he's awesome. So everybody's gonna have, lots of people are gonna have multiple headquarters. He's gonna be great. Yeah, not so good, because your opponent has to have more headquarters than you.
Right, and if everyone's playing two, that is not so likely.
So that didn't really help. I got 2 of the Stooges that unstop if you discard an event, but that meant I stocked events that I didn't really need, hoping I could use them to unstop, and so my deck was just really not good, and I think that coupled with the fact that I haven't played 2E in a while, and it is actually a very different animal. The ID draft, like you said, you have about 18 to 20 dilemmas, and so you were smart right away. Everybody has the one powerful dilemma, and you get that out of the way, and if you don't get it back, that's a big tool lost. And I mean, I remember, I think all my games went to time. I managed to hold my opponents to timed wins at least in the first 2 rounds, but I just kept looking over, and your table was sitting around and joking and eating, and I'm like, there's 20 minutes left in this round. Like, what is going on over there?
I think my game with Johnny, I won. I think I had the win wrapped up when time was called, and I got a full win on my turn. And the game against JD went a little quicker. I'm looking at these cards, and I got a Warrior's Birthright to go with the Klingon stuff. That worked well. I got 2 copies of We Are Klingon, so I add, strength +1. That was okay. I had a copy of The Promise, which I tried to cheat with early until Johnny pointed out that it says you have to actually have a Klingon in your discard pile. And as I said, I only had 5 Klingons. I had 7 Starfleet. I was primarily trying to get Klingons. I had 7 Starfleet, and I've got 8 non-aligned here.
Anyway. You know why? Because JD drafted them all.
Yeah.
And then didn't use them.
Yeah. So after our game's over, I said, yeah, I got all these cards I didn't use. I got was it Chancellor Gorkon and like what? Because there was a
Gowron.
A Gowron. There was a Breen going around that says you have to have a cost 4 personnel to play him.
Yeah, which I drafted without reading.
I didn't even see a cost 4 personnel.
Nope.
Well, all right. So back to the biggest mistake I made at the very beginning. I mentioned that I drafted a couple of dilemmas or missions that required biology. All these personnel, not a single biology. I don't think I saw biology go by.
Wow.
Anyway, so I had to swap in some missions that I didn't want to do, including one that actually worked out well, which was this Liberate Photonic Servants. I did that every time. It's only
that was impressive.
Strength 35 and a bunch of skills that are pretty much not hard to get. And since I had all the holograms, since I was using the Alara and all the hologram stuff, I got to download whatever hologram I didn't have out. That was kind of cool.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. I saw you were playing with the vascular pad, so you must have got the other one that was going around.
I did. That was
nice.
That was money. That was the only reason I had a chance against Johnny.
Between that and the hypo spray to keep my, the one skill that I needed, like that little, I think I was low on treachery. Yeah. Keeping that guy alive with, even if it stops the whole attempt, just keep the guy alive because I don't want to wait till drawing up again. Yeah.
Oh, did JD play his whole card against you? Because he snuck by a win against me because we both had one mission at time. 30. I had 35 points and he had 30, but he dropped that. I don't even remember the name of it, but it's the Ferengi event. Lose 10 points to score 20 points.
I saw he was doing multiple 30-point missions, and he was running around like he was going to solve all 3 of them. And I figured he must have had one, but I never saw it. That's hilarious.
That was his rounding the corner card.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I was so excited about the Enterprise because I was like, oh man, I can do 30-point missions, and then I can run, and in the format you can spend the 3 counters to get a ship right away. So I knew I would always have that ship,
nice,
which is huge. And I went and I looked, and it's like you have to have that ship staffed to score the points, and it's 2 big stars and a little star, and I had 4 big stars in my whole deck.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I can't plan my whole strategy around this if I don't know I can have it staffed, when I need the points.
That's tough. I've got 2 big stars in my whole deck. Wow. Yeah, staffing would have been bad if I had a.
Yeah.
Well, our game lasted 20 minutes. Everything fell my way. I've got to say, in my game against Johnny, anytime I drew into dilemmas, I drew exactly what I needed, and all the chances I took always worked. That is how I won the game. All my chances worked. And when he played dilemmas against me, it would be like, okay, stop somebody with Exo or this. All right, I don't have any of that. Okay, I guess nothing happens then. Okay, I'll keep going. At one point, he attempted with like 7 people, and I needed to stop 2. And there were 4 under already, so I draw 3, and I can't play this one, but this is a 2-coster, and that's a 1-coster, so I'll play them both, and I'll stop you again. It's like everything was falling my way. It was amazing. So I did well. I won the tournament. I went undefeated. That was fun.
Yeah. But it was interesting to do the draft. It was fun. I'm glad we did it. I was also interested to note everybody played 2 headquarters. All 4 headquarters were represented twice, and no 2 people had the same 2 headquarters.
That was an interesting spread that I don't think we could have done if we tried. You know what I
mean? No, not even close. So I had Klingon Romulan. You had Klingon Starfleet. JD had Romulan Ferengi, and Johnny had Ferengi Starfleet. Awesome. Astounding.
Yeah. It was a good format. I would definitely play it again. Like I said, I think we talked about trying to add something into the mission pack algorithm so that it matches. There's an equal number of affiliation icons on missions, so it's represented a little bit more evenly. But even so,
or at least make them attemptable. So there are at least a certain percentage of, even if they don't have Starfleet icon, they at least are attempt by any mission, attempt by anyone or attempt by any non-board.
Yeah. And thanks again to Matt for running everything. Well, we had a good time playing. That was it was above and beyond. He came out and ran that, and then disappeared for the Warning tournament. So we moved on from drafting 2nd edition to drafting 1st edition. There was some talk about Roach running it sealed, but Thomas joined us, and Charlie joined us, so we had up to 6 players. And Thomas said, "No, I didn't have a chance to draft earlier," so we all drafted. Mirror packs, right?
Yes, we had 6 mirror packs each, and it was really funny because we were all holding them, and they were bowed, and they were so old they had really started to curl. But I'm really glad we drafted that. I think having played that before, that just watching them go around, it was like half the packs were, each pack was like half useless people like Romulans and non-mirror people, and then you'd get a couple Terran Empire or a couple KCA. I think it would made it. I think it made all the decks a lot more playable to have the draft go around, and you could get one or the other.
Certainly, it meant that. I mean, even if it were 50-50 split KCA or Terran Empire, it meant that you could pull what you wanted instead of just, as you said, have a half a pack of dumb I don't want to say dumb blank cards for you, right? So
yeah. Now it was too bad that it didn't work out, because it would have been hilarious. But Charlie, apparently noting the prominent presence of, because this was the follow-up, this was the next set after Trouble with Tribbles, and so since they only had a few TOS Klingons and Feds there, they had a bunch of TOS Romulans in this set as sort of a supplement to that. And he had apparently started drafting them with the intent of playing Romulan from the Alpha Quadrant.
That would have been amazing had he been able to pull it off.
Yeah, just hilarious, except that there is no facility in that set that would allow him to play in the Alpha Quadrant. So he just, he couldn't. He eventually had to pull one of the Mir affiliations, but that was a hilarious idea, and I think would have been fun. Now, the thing that actually was a wild card that none of us knew about until he sprung it on us was we each picked a Mir starter, and we drafted, and some of us chose right away when we were drafting what we were going to play, and some of us waited until the very end.
Some of us kind of drafted some good cards, some of us drafted some bad cards.
But we got cards and we were ready to make our decks, and then Charlie says, wait, I have one more thing. As a holiday gift for everyone, we're not going to draft these. You just take these and you can put whatever you want from them in your deck. And he gave us all a pack of Reflections.
Yes. Awesome. Yes. That was...
Which was like the biggest rando wild card.
Yeah.
You could throw in... like JD had a Klim Dakachin, which was supremely annoying. He said he had a couple of other funny wild cards from that too. Charlie was running around with a Data's Head, which it sounded like he got in every game, because I know he got it against me, and he got, I heard it out against Johnny saying, okay, well, Data's Head has Cunning of 10 and then Computer Skill, and then these guys... It even saved him when we were fighting, because he had it gives your ship +2 attributes.
Yeah.
And so he was able to damage me when we were just completely random. I got a Miles O'Brien Founder foil, which I was waiting to play against a Terran Empire player, so I could have him infiltrate and then hit that infiltrator dilemma, but that never quite worked out. But he was a skill tank. What did you get something that was key out of your?
Well, in like one of the last packs, there was a Defiant. That was kind of fun. So I pulled the Defiant, and that was when we passed the packs the wrong way. And so Thomas passed me his pack, and then there was a Type 7 or whatever shuttle pod in there. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe I will play Terran Empire. I get this report. I could just drop this with a couple of guys. That makes things a little faster. That'd be nice. That'd be funny. But it turns out we're passing the packs the wrong way. So it went all the way around the table, and Charlie's to my left. And this is, right toward the end, we're all getting punchy already. And Charlie says, so, that Defiant that's in this set, is it Defiant class? And, I know exactly what he's talking about, because he's reading the same shuttle pod. Apparently, he was trying to make us all think that he had the Defiant, and he was going to be playing it. And he said, well, I guess I'm thinking in my head, don't take it. Well, I guess I'll take it then. And he takes it and passes it back to me. I'm trying to find it. It's not in there. After all that, it went all the way around, and he took it as a bluff. So I decided to not play my Defiant, just so he couldn't, just for spite. Just for
drop
spite.
It.
The two rares I'm looking at that I played with were Mr. Quark and Mr. Cisco. And they were both pretty good.
Ooh, yeah.
The non-aligned Mr. Cisco was great. His ability never really came into play. I guess it would have. He bumps up Quark +1. Your Terran Empire people, because I was playing KCA. But he had a lot of good skills. Someone else mentions Mr. Cisco, and Professor Cisco lets Mr. Cisco play to that location, so he could report for free to her at certain points in the game.
Ah, very nice.
I didn't have a Mr. Rom to download after Mr. Quark died, which I think he did in every game. But he got me past him, and Quarkbot got through a lot of dilemmas in both 1E and 2E.
Oh yeah,
the hologram Mr. Quark. And my draft, my Reflections card was Galen, who is not the greatest, but has a lot of good skills.
He does.
Archaeology, computer skill, leadership, navigation, that's superfluous music, and treachery. But he's a science, and he's got Cunning of 8. That's pretty good. Unfortunately, his TNG logo turns off all the fun stuff that you get from.
Oh no!
It never came up. He always came up so late in the game that it didn't matter. But he was the only reason I had a temporal mic wormhole in the deck, so I can play him. I don't think I had any AU cards at all. I didn't have any AU dilemmas. But it turns out I had drafted the minimal amount of dilemmas required to go with I think I had 9 seed cards plus 21 dilemmas, so it
Oh
wouldn't matter
wow.
if I didn't have it anyway. I got 3 dilemmas that were pretty good. I drafted Chul of the Game early, thinking and constructed that's such a good card, and then repeatedly drafted over and over again people who get past Chul of the Game, just because there's for some reason there's so many in the set that have greed and
Yeah.
high cunning. There's just a lot of that. I thought distraction would be better, but I think 2 or 3 times people ran into it. There was either all males or all females, and it's just discarded. Nothing happens. Emergency conversion was good. That stopped Johnny from stealing one of my missions.
Oh
2
yeah.
Astro transporter skill.
That's a good
So,
one.
But all in all, no superstars or anything. What did you draft?
Well, that's funny. You should ask.
Let me see if I can remember any of them, because on the first turn, I think you dropped the Intendant, and I remember saying to myself, "Wow, that's such a good card to pull because so many people reference the Intendant, so you can play your guys for free. So that's awesome." And then it just got worse from there.
Well, to be fair, the Regent Worf and Security Chief Garrick that I subsequently played on the second turn, getting all 3 of the leaders out right away, those are both in the starter.
Yeah, you know what's not in the starter? The
The Intendant?
Horda that I ran into on my turn when I tried to go get my card draws. Nor
You know
was
what
the
else is
other
not?
Horda that was in the other mission that I never actually saw, because all my people died to the Horda.
Which I helpfully reminded you when you wanted to stop. It's like, oh, don't you want to go to the next dilemma so you can see what it is? You're not stopped yet.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, that's kind of how it's designed. I wanted to make sure you could stay down there. Yeah, well, as I kept saying, every time somebody hit the second one or saw the second one, what was I going to do? Pass it?
Yeah, certainly not. No.
Because I didn't take any of the Doctrine Not a Bricklayers that I saw going around, and I knew Thomas would have them all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you get the download of a geology personnel pretty much, so that's
Yeah.
pretty good to have.
But I got 2 agony booths, which were amazing. I learned that in the false start version of this draft that we played before. It's just so good. Drop a booth and go start attacking people. Charlie he got the headquarters for the Terran Empire.
Oh, nice.
Which was great, except that then he was hanging out there. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'll beam down and I'll leave my ship, and then it's over to you." I'm like, "Okay, well there's an empty ship in orbit. I'll go get some free card draws." So I could get going pretty early, and then I could break my engine, break the new arrivals for an extra card play if I really needed to, without worrying about losing card draws. That agonizing booth is so good, and an agonizer was a lot of agony to get the buff. And if case my Vorchas were not enough to keep my battle in line, I got a Regency 1. And so, I could, drop that on your face if all else fails. And a stolen cloaking device to download out of my Q's tent, which I pulled from the Reflections pack. And then I could cross that over to play them in the Alpha Quadrant at my neutral outpost if need be, which was also very handy. So good draft for me.
And Tanos Field. Don't forget about Tanos Field.
Oh yes, and the Tanos Field, which I was really weird having to earn.
Oh yeah,
having played the Starship ISS Enterprise and downloading it so often, but I pretty much every game put that under the, because the big flaw with this draft was missions. There are almost no missions, and so both starters have 2 stealable missions, a forward pointer and a universal. I managed to get 1 mission that I could do. I think there's 2 in the set. There's the Feldamite Rush and the mine dilithium in the Gamma Quadrant, which or in the Delta Mirror Quadrant, which I tried to grab, and I just each time, the 2 times I saw one, there was something better I had to take. But I'm glad I managed to get the 1 card so I could swap at least one of those stealable missions out, because both of my early games first two games hinged on stealing that universal mission right away. Because I knew the combo that was there. I knew that it would stop you, and I knew I could get past it if I had the right people. So I was able to go over there, plow through that, get a mission right away, get the Tantalus field, take out your key personnel, and then head over to a space mission that was inevitably double seated. But and then against you, we had the mirror match. So that one mission was literally the only non-stealable mission in the game. All of yours were stealable. I had one mission that I could go do. And so between getting literally the best draw I could possibly get, you and I played in the third round. We were both undefeated. So it was good, we had performed well, but that I just, all right, here are the three big KCA leaders ready to go. And I can play pretty much anything for free and run out there. Like you were saying, what was it? You're like, I felt bad about blowing somebody's ship up earlier, but I see now that it's
Well, I started off against Thomas, and we were also, it was a mirror. I think I played 3 KCA opponents all day. There was threat of battle, but I don't remember if we actually had any combat at all. As you said, all of my missions, since I had 3 KCA opponents, all of my missions were stealable in all 3 of my games. So, we both had that universal mission. And in my game against Thomas, he solved mine, and then I ran over and solved his. Because we each knew, I think I peppered everything with dilemmas everywhere. But for some reason, I think in that game, it was the biggest baseline I had the entire day because Thomas drafted all kinds of missions. I think he changed out at least 4 of the 6 missions. I'm surprised he was running the universal one. I think we only had. I think we only had 1 duplicated mission. Because he had changed out so many. And then there was the universal missions that were stealable, and then it was my 40-point mission. So it seemed all day long people were attempting my missions. Anyway, I managed to pull it out against Thomas in like the last turn with a support personnel download. But against Johnny, again, he could do any of my missions, and I could do I think 4 of the 6 of his, maybe 5. At one point, he went to the Alpha Quadrant. I went to the Alpha Quadrant to attempt a mission. Got stopped. I could see him doing some machinations in his head. Well, if I come over here, he might be able to shoot me. I might get damaged. I can rebuild. He went through the wormhole, attempted the mission, and got stopped. And then I was able to. I had a what's the transporter device? Multidimensional transporter device.
Oh, nice.
It was kind of nice. I think I only used it maybe in his game, but I was able to play a few people to. I couldn't move both ships through the wormhole, but I could play some people to the mirror quadrant, move the ship over to the wormhole, beam people back and forth, some science and engineer back and forth, bring the other ship in, move it over, and then blow them up. Which
wow.
Johnny was very disappointed in my actions. I don't think he appreciated that very much. He said something effective. I understand why you did that instead of go and try to actually attempt missions and solve. Well, solving missions is a lot easier if you don't have any opponent on the board. And I had zero confidence in getting through my own dilemmas, much less his. So that was the right play at the time.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, this with the dilemmas that we're playing with at missions that are double up, and you could start or stop, and if you get stopped, then he could come in and steal. If you have the opportunity to take out his ship, that's absolutely 100% the right play, because it's much better to try and get through those doubled up missions while you don't have somebody sitting there waiting to steal it back.
Yeah, and for the most part, I only went out if I had both of my Klingon Vorchas, staffed, or I had a Bajoran ship that could land. So I was kind of safe from battle every once in a while. But like I said, in my game against you, my guys were getting picked off by the Horda, and I was running around just trying to do anything. And then when you played Regency 1, I was just ready to be done. But yeah, so I blew up Johnny, you blew up me. That's the way things work. So we were both undefeated in the last round. So you ended up you had 2 timed wins in this game, or was that the 1E or 2E?
Well, I had timed losses in TUI. I think I
Okay.
had a full win against JD, but a timed win against Charlie. I can't quite remember now.
Okay. Well, in the end, you got a full win rather quickly. It was probably another 25-minute game or so, if that, right?
I don't know. It went a bit longer. I think it was more like 40, 45.
I just remember all my cards being in my discard pile at the end.
Yeah, when you split up your ships, I was like, well,
Well, I split up my ships because you had the Tantalus field, and I put all my universal guys on one ship and sent them through the wormhole, and then I put all my unique guys on the other ship and I left them on that side, and then I beamed back and forth so you didn't know where everything was. So I figured maybe I can keep somebody alive if you guess wrong. If you picked a ship and said, "Okay, I'll kill a unique guy," aha, you discarded 3 cards for
sure.
nothing. Now, and then you just blew up the whole ship, and that was the end. So whatever.
Yeah, I could go either way with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, congratulations on going undefeated in your tournament.
Thank you very much. It was a good day for Section 31.
Yes, it was.
Until triples.
I no, it was fun. It was a fun format. I think with a bigger mission spread, I think it would have been a whole lot of fun. Would you agree?
I agree. I think a little bit more in the missions pack, and maybe like an alpha, just throw in a neutral outpost for everyone in case you want to do that Romulan thing, or have a base in the, because it's so hard to go back and forth. I think it might be nice for everybody to have that. I'm about to lose power for some reason. I will be back in like 45 seconds.
Okay. Well, then at this point, since the theme of the Phoenix tournament is there are prizes for each tournament, but there is also a grand prize, or prizes in this case, for whoever does well over the course of the entire day. So we had our second edition tournament that I won, and then the second edition tournament. I have to look at the scoring. If it comes, I don't know which is first in first edition. If it's head to head or differential. If it's differential, Johnny came in second. If it's head to head, I came in second, I think. So I had a pretty good lead going into the finals for overall Phoenix points. So according to my Charlie's calculations, because he kind of made some announcements before, I had not let Johnny win by more than 2 places in the triples, and I think Rogue had to come in first, and I had to come in last for me to win, for Johnny to win, or you to win, or me to win. Does that sound right?
That sounds correct. I remember thinking as we went to the last round that it was impossible for me to win because there was no way I could win and you get last place. There was just like you were in like second or third, and there was just no way everybody would pass you, and
Right.
I could get enough to go out. So I was like, all right, well, that's a little relaxing.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you a secret. In our 2E game, before we played, before you sat down, I sidled over to Matt, who was running things. I said, "Okay, I think I looked at the scores. I don't think I can lose the tournament. I'm going to have a much better game if I'm not stressed out. Could you confirm that for me?" And he said, "Yeah, you won the tournament." I said, "Okay, then I'm going to have fun."
Oh, for TUI?
Yeah, for our 2E game, because I'm paranoid as all get out. But
so sure, I know the feeling.
Going into the triples, at least I had a goal, and I figured with this deck, I was playing a new deck. It had a couple of Fizzbins in it and a lot of time warps. I figured I could go out at least once, and that was the goal. Not coming last, middle of the pack, and I'm good, right? If I win, great. But middle of the pack is what I was going for, middle of the pack or higher. And I want to say I went out twice, once for very little points, but the second time to finish the round was just enough to. We were joking about that 7,000 points that I could have gotten if one step closer. I think Johnny beat me by like 10,000 points to take second place or third, but it was fairly close. I don't think it was it 500,000? Was that the big total?
Yeah, or no, 6. Thomas had 6 at one point. So
yeah, so it wasn't a huge scoring game. It was anyone could take it at any time. No one. So has JD been playing his anti deck like the last couple of tournaments? Is that why? Because he seemed to imply that it was no fun because someone else was playing Kapla, and I had thrown a couple Kaplas in just because.
Well, I was not really. I mean, I was soured on the anti deck at Gen Con, as we all know. But I mean, his has not been as bad. His has been a lot more what it was intended to be. You know, just kind of fun, throw in, goof around with. But I was, just, I was like, oh god, here we go again. But it was much more entertaining. You had Kaplaws, Thomas had Kaplaws. I was very disappointed that I didn't get to copy a Kapla to get the ante.
No, that's funny.
Otherwise, I would have copied something else. But it was definitely more interesting and more interactive if you got to play.
Yeah. It was, like I said, it was pretty close all the way through, and I think it went Thomas, Johnny, me, and then Matt, and then you. Does that sound right?
I just know I was last. By the end of it, I was not really having a good time, and it was not anybody's fault. I was mulling it in the way because I knew we were going to play the Phoenix tournament. I was like, oh, I'm going to play my rescue deck. You know, it's solid deck. It's never underperformed in this way. I always go out at least once and get some points, you know, which is fine. That's all. You know, I don't have to win all the time or even some of the time. I like getting on the board and being competitive. And you know, and I've had bad days where I've been recycled and I've had to come back. And
did you even get recycled?
I did not get recycled a single time. I had no one to blame but the bad luck of my deck. It just did not. I didn't get the right numbers at the right time to be able to kick into the cycle, and I got nothing. I didn't even get to copy a utilize to get on the board.
No.
It was unfortunate.
All right. Well, at the end, since Johnny did not win by 2 places, then I was the Phoenix champion, which was awesome because this Phoenix King. We done this. We done the Phoenix tournament for. I think this was number 13 as the math goes, and I don't think I've ever won before. So usually it's got to be Johnny. I think you won last year, 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, did I?
Yeah, because one of our episode titles was Phoenix King. Because you had
that's right.
1 and 2E.
Yeah, so I know I won when we did it at the big. That was a number of years ago. We had it at the clubhouse, so I guess I've won twice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I had a great time. I was happy I came out, even though I was a little sleep deprived. And you know, it was fun I went first last in the tournaments. So I'm impressed and thankful that I placed as highly as I did in the Phoenix standings. And I got my first choice out of the Phoenix prizes anyway, which is amazing. I don't know where those came from, but they were great prizes.
Yeah, someone donated a bunch of like prop pieces, you know, like insignias, and I got this awesome ring, the Starfleet Academy ring, that was dropped in some drink and blew up Section 31. So I figure I should take this before anybody else does.
Yeah.
Apparently, I graduated from the United Federation of Planets Starfleet Academy in 2258.
And I picked up I don't see, it does not seem to be in reach at the moment, but I got the rank insignia that they have on the original series movies, the cool red uniforms, the best uniforms.
Yeah.
I got the captain's insignia for that, and that's a costume I've always wanted to make, so now I'm on my way.
Nice. Excellent. Yeah, so great prizes. Tribbles wrapped up, and it was a great day all around. I think I don't. Yeah, well, we'll do it again next year. That's for certain. We didn't have a. I was going to say we didn't have any. Charlie, who ran the thing, has been severely overworked, which is why the results aren't up yet or anything else. But
yes.
So we didn't have much in the way of advertisements and hype and build up. So we didn't get any outside players. Is what I was going for. Usually we'll get somebody from Santa Barbara or somebody else come down. So we will attempt to hype it up a little bit more next year. Maybe we can get some visitors, right?
Yeah, we did get a lot of tweets from some Santa Barbara guys saying we were there, but you know, it's holidays. You know, we didn't really get the chance to hype it up. It kind of snuck up on me I mean, I knew it was there, but I'm really glad it was draft because I don't know if I would
Oh
have
yeah,
any decks.
and it was a day after New Year's instead of a couple of days after on the weekend. So,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe not the best timing. But like
So,
I said,
well, but smart planning on our parts, I guess. Go us.
yeah,
When we kind of all talked about it after the last tournament. What are we going to play? How about draft? Okay, good.
yeah, very good.
So yeah, good time. Looking forward to next year.
All right, fair enough. So, um, I guess we're going to transition into a movie that we saw a couple of weeks ago, or yesterday. Did you make it up to see it yesterday? That was your plan.
I did. We got up early, even though we didn't want to, and drove up to the Chinese Man Theater in LA, in Hollywood, because it's amazing. When we got up, I was like, oh my God, why are we doing this? We could just go to an IMAX here, even though the local IMAXs are not real IMAXs. They're just slightly larger, slightly louder screens that say they're
They're
IMAX.
Limax.
Yes, Limax. That's that's brilliant.
Hmm.
But oh my God, I've never been in that theater. It's a legendary historic theater, and tons of world premieres have happened there. Caitlin actually got to see it there when we went to the world premiere. They had three. It was showing in three theaters because the premiere was so big, and so the people who were actually in costume were in the Dolby theater, which was actually kind of Blue Goats as far as the movie going experience. The other, the getting to see it early and being in a room full of stars who were in it was obviously amazing. But I heard people afterwards. I was like, oh, that was fine. As far as picture quality, like, oh my God, the sound was, I kept hearing popping and you couldn't understand things. That was a terrible picture quality. And I'm like, guys, we just saw Star Wars 4 days early. The Chinese IMAX was spectacular.
Really? Okay.
It was
That theater's been there forever.
yeah, but they've made it. They've maintained it. It's laser digital projection. It's got all around sound, and it's one of those giant, 1,000-seat theaters. I think probably more than that. It's huge. We were halfway back, and I still felt like I was right here. I was still turning my head to see all the scroll because it was such a big theater, and
Wow.
it was really immersive to see it there, and a lot of fun, and to see it in 3D. I am actually not a fan of 3D in general. I think whenever they use it now, it's kind of just like, oh, look, we're in 3D, but it was really sparingly used. Like, it was always there. The crawl was amazing.
Oh, okay. See, I also I can't I don't know that I've seen more than one movie in 3D. Maybe two or three, and they were probably all at Disneyland.
Yeah,
I don't know that I've gone to see a real quote unquote real movie, in 3D. But that is the one thing that no one has ever said until just now that makes me want to see it in 3D, and that is the
it's
opening crawl. That would be amazing.
it's incredible. I can't recommend seeing this movie enough in 3D. Everybody's going to see this movie more than once. I know, you probably go multiple times in 2D, but everybody should make at least one of their viewings of this in 3D. I don't know if you'll go back uh,
Wow.
to seeing it in 2D because I've seen it. This was our seventh time, and it's my third or fourth in 3D because it was amazing. The crawl is great. There's a shot where they switch back and forth between perspectives, and they switch back to first order perspective, and it's the shot of the new Star Destroyer kind of from slightly off to front, and it's like whoosh, the point is like right there in your face, and the crawl goes by and the Star Destroyer comes in and they have the landing ships coming around and they come right at you, and it's just there are very few of those spots where it's gratuitously 3D. It's all just it gives, to no pun intended, it gives depth to the world. It was really a great viewing.
I imagine the battle over Maz's temple and the battle at the Starkiller base probably show it off a lot. All the ships
Oh
flying around.
yeah, all the X-wings with the dogfight, just really great. great showing of a great movie, which we haven't really talked about yet. So this is the part where I'm going to say, if you haven't seen it, you should stop listening, because I think, well, okay, if you haven't seen it yet and you're still trying to avoid spoilers, then you're kind of cutting your own legs off. But there's your one warning. What did you think?
I'd say 9.5 out of 10. Starfleet insignia is up. There were only a few things that I didn't like, and they were nitpicky things that they were there to tell the story and didn't have to be. I can take off my "that's not right" science hat for a little while, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
I even as we were talking about it, I have like a laundry list of, well, that was wrong and that was weird and why'd they do that? But I did not care about any of it because I was having so much fun.
Exactly. All the detractions I've seen, I don't care about. This is a retread of the first two movies or whatever. You know what? This movie had one goal, and that was to revitalize everything, right? To get people back into Star Wars is not a bad movie, and in order to do that, they played on a lot of the things that people found great from the first three, the original trilogy, and if that's what it takes, they certainly did the job well. And I can't imagine now if they do. So JJ is not doing the next movie, so I have less fear that the next Star Wars movie is going to be like the second reboot Star Trek movie, which is going to be a lot of in jokes and, hey, did you see this? You remember that time when this happened?
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, I think they've set up they did a very good job of, this is what everyone liked about the original movies. Now that you're all back again, hey, let's go tell a new story and go this way. At least that's what I'm hoping for. I have no way of telling. I guess we'll find out in another 2 years. But wow, if that's what they do, I will be perfectly satisfied.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think they had to establish the universe, get people back in, because so many people had the bad taste in their mouth after the prequels, and they had to reconvince some people. They had to get a new generation sold. I think they did a great job not bringing in any of the old characters until halfway through the movie, so that you had a nice, almost a full hour of getting to know Finn and Rey and Poe a little bit, and really investing, especially in Finn and Rey. I really like these characters. I feel like I know them now, and I'm really rooting for them. And once you're on board, then it's like, oh, look, it's Han Solo. It's like, oh, cool, Han Solo. I'm excited to see these new characters interact with Han Solo. Whereas if they had started with, here's Han Solo and he's on the Millennium Falcon, and then we're going to bring in these new characters, we've been like, okay, that's nice, but let's see what's Han Solo doing,
And they did such a good job. I didn't care that there were no old characters, in the beginning. They had old Stormtrooper-looking things that were familiar, and then they had new characters and a new X-wing that looked kind of like the old X-wings, and that was enough to tide me over and get to know all the new stuff, like you said. And when the old characters finally came, it wasn't like, hey, where have they been all this movie?
Right.
It's like, okay, now their stories are starting to intersect, and we're going to see how this goes.
Yeah. I was really excited that BB-8 didn't suck. I was afraid that they were pushing him so hard in all the trailers and the merchandise that was like, oh, he's so adorable, please don't be lame. And he didn't. He was great. She was great. It was great. Whatever.
Yeah, definitely has the Disney influence of yeah, exactly. But that's I can't complain about that. What could you complain about? Since we're obviously on talking on a podcast about a science fiction genre, so we're going to be nitpicky about things. So
absolutely, and there are things to be nitpicky about. Starkiller Base is a new Death Star. We've had long standing history of joking about the necessity of super weapons in Star Wars stories. It's a thing.
Well, I've got a shelf full of them. I mean, from dark sabers to sun crushers. I mean, that's a theme.
And they try to hang a lampshade on it a little bit. It's like, oh, I wish it was another Death Star, but look, it's big. And it's like, oh, so what? It's big. There's got to be a way to blow it up. Honestly, like the thing that bothers me the most is when they hyperspace into past the shields. That's like the sci-fi nerd in me is like, oh god, that's not right. When they're like, oh well, they've got fractional rotating shield, so anything moving slower than light speed can't get by, and so they light speed into the base to get past the shields. And I'm like, that flies in the face of every Star Wars physics thing that we've ever been told. It's the gravity well that pulls you out of hyperspace. And yeah, I'm willing to let it go, but every time they jump in, that for that like 2 seconds, I'm like internally cringing.
Well, having run a Star Wars game for 10 years on end and making up physics and trying to imply things from the books and things like that, I can tell you that I did not have a problem with that. I didn't even care. It was like, all right, well, okay, when ships fall out of hyperspace, they're really not going that fast. So the whole pull up quickly thing didn't matter to me very much. Falling out of hyperspace right next to a planet, as you said, yeah, the way that it was described is fly too close to a star, bounce into a supernova.
Yeah. Honestly, I would have been completely willing to let it all go, because they've written off the EU as legends. None of that is canon, except they just had an episode of Rebels where they introduced the interdictor.
Yes, that's right. Where they pulled things out of hyperspace.
Which, kind of makes that canon. But for all of all the things to be upset about, that's pretty small.
What if he was flying through hyperspace? If he had not pulled out of hyperspace, in the atmosphere or on the other side of the shield, the planet would have pulled him out of hyperspace, except he would have crashed into it, and that would have been bad for everyone. We don't know where that edge of the gravity well is. I mean, you can't jump. Legends has it that you can't jump into hyperspace until you've cleared the gravity well, which is well out of the atmosphere. But maybe you can. It's not going to pull you out of hyperspace until you get you get deep into the well. I don't know.
And we don't really know. I mean, that's another conjecture thing. Is it a planet? Is it a space station? Is it a space station that they cored out a planet to make? Or did they build a planet around a space station? I mean, we know it's planet-sized, but
I got the feeling with trees and such on it that it was a planet, a small planet maybe, that they just gutted.
Yeah. So, and then maybe that futzed with the mass of it, and then that lowered the gravity well so that they could do that.
And then they put artificial gravity generators everywhere so that people would stand upright.
Well, you want to be able to feel confident when you've lined up your Nazi troops out there, so you can have your big, propaganda moment.
If everyone raises their arms at once and starts floating off, that's not a photographic moment.
That's right.
All right. The thing that I cringed at as you did is the same thing that he did in the Star Trek movie, the first Star Trek movie, and that is being able to see another planet blowing up from your planet. The hyperspace laser that we can't even quantify. We don't even know what it is. Right. Okay.
Right.
Sure. It starts out, let's say it's as big as, a small continent, maybe. Let's say it's the hole that the blast comes out.
Okay, it's like Australia.
I'd say it's smaller.
Maybe India.
Okay, let's say it's an India-sized. So we've got this India-sized diameter beam coming out of the planet. Flies across space. Eventually, it's going faster than light speed because it has to do it in 30 seconds instead of how many years it would take.
Right.
So
it's traveling through hyperspace.
Exactly.
Like Justin Crops boy.
Well, clearly it's doing several things. That might be one of them. This thing that is the size of India is flying across space, and I'm in a planet far away. Let's call it some distance away.
Millions of miles.
Let's imagine that the two closest planets in the galaxy that are in different star systems. Right? I'm going to see these beams of light going across the sky that are smaller than a small. Okay, it shouldn't have been visible. The laser beam shouldn't be visible. They shouldn't have been able to see that. If it was look, okay, let's put it this way. All right, even if it was wide enough for them to see it from wherever they are, the people on the planet who were turning around watching it did not melt. So it's not putting off enough light to go across the stars to wherever they were. They would have been puddles on the ground and nothing else for miles around. For it to be able to and then the explosions of the planets and the stuff, whatever they were in the same, they were these things in the same system. They blew up where the Senate had moved to. They moved the Senate around apparently in the New Republic, and it was on this planet. The planet blew up. The ships in orbit blew up, and they looked like they blew up a moon or something too. Sure, okay.
I think they blew up the whole system. It was all the planets in the same system.
All the planets in the system. Looking up in the sky, several distinct explosions that were farther apart than any two stars would have been.
And they see them immediately.
Yes. Immediately.
Not a week later or a year later.
Or hundreds of years later. All right.
Dude, it's a galaxy far, far away.
And really close together and full of things
really close together.
Yes, I know. No, it's the same. It's the same problem I had with Star Trek, and to a degree, Into Darkness. Spock shouldn't have been able to see a planet get sucked the inside out because the planet was the size of a moon, and it was too close for that. Even if it was in the same, he should have had a telescope with a little monitor on it. Say, look, Spock, I hate you so much. Here's a telescope. You can watch what's going on. Okay, that I could have taken. But even in Into Darkness, they're flying back and forth and beaming between planets and things. I don't think J.J. Abrams knows how big the universe is.
Well, I don't know if he knows how like solar systems work, because the thing that bothered me more than that was apparently you too was like, okay, the Star Killer is apparently a star killer because it feeds on stars like Galactus, but
yeah, tasty star plasma,
star matter. It requires, it's fueled off of a star. Apparently, it's already powered up when they decide to fire it. They fire it once, as we already discussed, and then they're like, okay, it's timed. Now we know it works, but like we thought it did. And the Resistance is going to find Skywalker, so let's shoot it again and blow up the Resistance that we've tried very hard to hide, but now apparently we know where it is. Well, we have to. It's powered by the sun, as we've just discovered through exposition. Let's suck up this sun energy that's conveniently here. I don't know why we have another sun. Once this sun is out, then we know that it's powered up. I don't know where the other sun went that we powered it up from the first time, or how we're planning on powering it up again after destroying the Resistance without being able to move this planet. The only thing about that I actually liked was that as soon as they do consume all of the sun's energy, it immediately starts snowing because the atmosphere starts cooling, which I thought was a kind of
wow, I didn't even make that connection. That's awesome.
I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt that was done because it would be cool and scientific rather than dramatically appropriate. But yeah, I'm like, yeah. Maybe they knew it was only going to be a 2-shot thing and it was in a binary system.
I took that to mean they were just pulling off, Corona outside of the star, and after a while, the star lights up again, and they could, pull from it again. But they started. So we learned when they're in the briefing that they started charging the station, right?
Yeah.
And then they went through this whole, okay, we're going to jump to hyperspace, and Han's going to go in and going to do the thing. All this time they're charging. Planets kind of spin.
Yes. Not this one, apparently.
No, this one always, well, okay. Later on, they showed it at a weird kind of angle going up to, so it wasn't straight up. But they charge a little bit and then, wait for the next day. Charge a little bit more.
Oh, sure. That would actually be cool.
How convenient is it that the target that they shot at lined up with the planet exactly as it was rotating it around? Right?
Right.
How do they aim the thing?
Man.
Clearly, I need to read the novelization because I'm sure it'll have all the answers to my questions, which I believe I have checked out from the library. and I'll be reading
I've heard
through
that
it.
it does have answers to a lot of questions. Although I also heard that it raises more because they wrote it based on the shooting script,
Oh,
which was slightly different than the final script.
sure, I can see that. I'm just remembering back. I think it was Revenge of the Sith was a fantastic novelization. I read
Oh
it
my
before I
God,
saw the
yes.
movie, and it made me like the movie, which may or not have been what actually happened had I not read the book first. Um, I'm hoping it's as good. This Alan D. Foster guy has been writing Star Wars books since before there were Star Wars books, so um, I'm looking forward to it. We're getting Rogue One next December. Is that right?
That's correct.
And then Episode 8
The
likely
following May.
following May. Although I've heard a couple people say that it'll probably be December since this one did so well, or is doing so well, which I don't hate, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is a nice time, that a lot of people are off and seeing, families. There's not really any blockbuster competition.
Well, I remember
You
was
know,
it Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and uh, Harry Potter all came out in the wintertime, right? They were all
yeah.
November, December movies. So
Yeah.
there's some precedence for having a movie that you know is going to come out repeatedly every year, just be that everyone else gets out of the way. Whereas in the summer you have all the blockbusters come out.
Sure.
I really was hoping I like the May release because it's right around my birthday and it's party time and it's summertime and but on the other hand, having it in the winter was kind of nice too. I don't know that I care.
I'm fine either way. I mean, I enjoyed the shift to May because that meant we had to wait 6 less months until it comes out. But I do like the holiday being, I can go see it, 4 times in a week and be on vacation.
Yeah. As far as other, I mean, we talked briefly at the tournament about wanting to look back, and so I have all these binders full of Star Wars cards. How much fun would it be to go back and play? And then I think Johnny said someone said, I don't know if it was Johnny or not. Someone said they went over to the players committee site, and it was rough.
Yeah.
And
That desire was quashed immediately.
yeah, it's too bad. But I mean, I want to go back and watch all the Rebels episodes that we haven't caught up on. I've been writing a new story for our on and again, off again Star Wars RPG that I'm ready to get back into.
It's definitely, I've been looking at all the ancillary published material and looking at, I've heard good things about the not Aftermath because I've heard very bad things about that, but there's one that's like a collection of short stories for each of the new characters, Finn, Rey, and Poe. That's getting very good reviews. I just want to see everything. I was very much like, okay, no toys, not going to worry about any of this stuff. And now I'm like, where are they? Bring them all. I really want Poe's X-Wing, orange and black X-Wing.
That's funny.
Are you kidding me?
You got a new one pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, I think that was his like undercover X-Wing because I don't think you want to take no, the one that gets blown up at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, because he knows he's going out on a secret mission, and like you don't want to take your big flashy orange and black. I know this is a Resistance X-wing.
All right,
but and they mentioned that in the visual dictionary that apparently he has a multitude of ships because he is a pilotaholic.
All right. Is there anything else we need to chat about before we wrap this up? We've been going for a while, and
it is. It's getting late. It's been a long show, but I know we've been waiting to talk about this, so I'm glad we finally can. Maybe we'll talk about it more next time too.
It's likely we'll probably come back to it and reference it over and over again.
I love the crap out of it, and I'm just really excited. I know not everybody felt the same way, but I was really disappointed with the prequels, even though they ended on a higher note than the first two. Um, it was really joyful for me to sit and be ecstatic every time, all 7 times I've gone to see this. The first one was I was high on adrenaline and excitement and anticipation, but to really enjoy that first time, and I've loved it more each time, and just really be happy to get to see not qualified joy, but really excited to see the movie every time I've seen it. It's just been really a relief to love something that I love again.
I'm looking forward to going to see it again. There's a saying, I think we brought it up before. When you go to Arby's and you have 3 tournaments and you have 3 meals there, you're living the dream. I didn't have 3. I think I had 2. And then yesterday, I was living the nightmare because it was just not good. Between the boy had a stomach flu and it passed on, and I probably ate too much, and it was just bad all over. So I was not feeling well. We didn't get to go out to see the movie. Perhaps next year, next weekend, we'll be able to go take the girl again. Maybe we can hit the 3D viewing. That would be nice.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to go see it again.
If you go to AMC IMAX on Sunday, this week is the last of their 4-part series. Each Sunday, they've been giving out posters, very cool art posters, start of Force Awakens themed. The first one was Rey, the second one was Poe, the last week was Phasma. So I'm assuming this is the 4th and final one, that it will be something Finn or Kylo related. But they've been really cool posters. So if that's something you're interested in, either you or a viewer, listener, I recommend that. January 10th, any AMC on a Sunday IMAX viewing.
Cool. I wonder if they're going to have it on the boat.
Ooh, that would be cool. They have movie theaters on boats, right?
Yeah. Maybe we'll take a break from the gaming. All right, very good. Okay.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up. I've already thought of more Star Wars questions I'm going to ask you, but they'll wait till next week. We'll have to get ready for our boat tournament. Or maybe we'll have tribbles or something, and then see some Star Wars. In the meantime, I am Sir Rogue.
And I'm Sir Dan.
And I will remind you all to expand your power in the universe.
And I will try to end.